Good evening. It's your favorite host, the Urban Scholar. Welcome to class and session. Today we're going to talk about mental health. Specifically, we're going to talk about depression. Before we get started, because one of the things I've been neglecting to do is I want to give a shout out to the sponsors for the class and session show, which is Urban Scholar Gear, which you see me rocking, Urban Scholar Music Group. It's a full-fledged record label. Show us some love on social media. But I wanted to talk about mental health because I like to talk about things that influence me and impact me and affect me every day. And I have several friends who struggle and suffer with depression. So the first thing I wanted to say about depression is everybody experiences depression. So for people who don't believe that, just because you don't suffer, it doesn't mean that you don't have episodes of depression, because depression comes in all types of forms. So I think that's important to state before we kind of go into the subject, because a lot of people think because they're managing every day and they're going through life and everything seems to be okay, they have loss and deaths in the family and friends and things like that, and they move on, and they tend to think that they're not classified as being depressed. But like I said, it's different phases, it's different levels, right? But if you've been sad, you've been depressed. So it's not something that's, the point is, depression is something that's common. We have that more in common than we don't. Some people just suffer a little more than others, and they don't manage it well as a result. So let's talk about mental health. There's different types of mental health. Some of it's behavior related, some of it's emotional, some of it's trauma from events that's happened in your life. What's important is that one really understands as an adult, like what's going on with them, because what happens when we're young and we're children, we tend to not think it's a big deal. And then it follows us throughout life. And what happens is mental health prevents you from kind of maturing and growing up in certain areas. So it's equivalent to like someone who started doing drugs when they were young, and then you see them now, they don't do drugs anymore, but they have like immature behaviors and things like that. It's because when you do drugs and things like that, it kind of stunts your growth in terms of your maturation. So I wanted to kind of highlight mental health tonight, depression, and just to simply say to people that it's okay and it's normal. And it's also something that you shouldn't neglect. As an adult, you have a responsibility to yourself first. Depression is not about those around you. It's about you. It's about the person themselves, right? So you owe it to yourself, not to nobody else. There's not going to be any magic potion in the air that's going to come and make it go away. There's not going to be a relationship. There's not going to be a job. There's not going to be no situation that's going to come and magically remove your sadness, your depression. So it's something that you should be willing to talk about, but it's also something that you need to talk about with a professional. Sometimes I find people are depressed and they want their friends and their family members to kind of be their baseboard. And in some cases, it becomes verbal abuse, it becomes physical abuse, it becomes many things. And then people tend to get fed up and tired with their family and friends because they see them constantly struggling, going through these things, and they're having episodes where they're being what you deem to be disrespectful when they're just having an episode. And they're expecting you, the person that's depressed is expecting you to accept it and to be okay with it because it's their struggle. But what happens is it destroys relationships. So one of the things I want to say is get help. Go to a professional. Don't rely or try to force people in your life, friends, family, spouses, to help you deal with your stuff, because depression is something that's inside of you. And there's nobody outside of you that can go in there and do that other than a professional who understands the process. So I just wanted to say that if you're struggling with mental health, be patient with your friends and family members, but also don't be afraid and take a step and go get some help. And remember, the future's Urban Scholar.